The Celestial Mirror, Astrological Correlates for Homosexuality and Transgenderism in the Modern Era. Introduction, Beyond Determinism to Symbolic Spectrum. The question of whether astrology can indicate homosexuality or transgenderism is fraught with the risk of reductionism. A scholarly approach must first dispense with any notion of a single gay planet or transit of transgenderism. Astrology is not a deterministic tool for labeling individuals, but a symbolic language for describing the infinite spectrum of human experience, including gender identity and sexual orientation. This essay will argue that certain planetary archetypes, house emphasis, and angular relationships can describe a person's journey outside of societal norms regarding gender and sexuality. Furthermore, by examining the current and forthcoming generational transits, we can contextualize the profound cultural shifts around LGBTQ+ visibility and rights in the 2020s and beyond as a collective astrological phenomenon. Deconstructing historical archetypes, Venus, Mars, and the myth of inversion. Traditional astrology often relied on a binary complementary model of gender. In this framework, a man's chart was read with the Sun and Mars as primary significators of his masculine self, and the Moon and Venus as significators of the women in his life and his anima. Consequently, a man with prominent Venusian or lunar traits could be Venus conjunct Sun, Moon in a feminine sign, was sometimes interpreted as having soft or effeminate tendencies, which was simplistically linked to homosexuality. This was a flawed heteronormative model that mirrored the biases of its time. A modern scholarly interpretation moves beyond this. We must understand Venus and Mars not as female and male planets, but as archetypal principles of relatedness, Venus, and action, desire, Mars. Venus represents what we love, value, and find beautiful, the principle of attraction. Mars represents how we pursue what we desire, our initiative, and our assertion of ourself. Homosexuality in this light is not a matter of planetary gender inversion, but a specific configuration of the relationship between Venus and Mars. For instance, Venus-Mars aspects. A strong conjunction, sextile, or trine can indicate a harmony between one's values, Venus, and desires, Mars, allowing for a fluid and integrated expression of sexuality, regardless of the gender of the object of desire. A challenging square or opposition may indicate internal conflict or a dynamic tension between what one is taught to value and what one authentically desires, a common narrative in the coming out process. The 5th and 8th houses. The 5th house rules romance, creativity, and self-expression. The 8th house rules intimacy, shared resources, and psychological transformation. Planets in these houses, particularly Venus, Mars, or Pluto, and the signs on their cusps, describe the nature of one's romantic and intimate life. A Uranus placement here, for example, can often signify a need for freedom and non-traditional expression in matters of love and sex. The astrology of gender identity, Sun, Moon, and the Ascendant. While sexual orientation, homosexuality, bisexuality is often linked to Venus-Mars dynamics, gender identity, transgenderism, non-binary identity is more profoundly connected to the core components of the self, the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant rising sign. The Sun-Moon axis. The Sun represents the conscious self, the core identity, and the vital life force, the I am. The Moon represents the unconscious, the emotional body, the physical vessel, and the ingrained patterns, the I feel. A profound dissonance between these two luminaries, such as a heart aspect, square, opposition, or being in signs of conflicting elements, like Sun in fiery Aries or Moon in watery Cancer, can be one symbolic indicator of a felt disconnect between one's inner essential self, Sun, and one's assigned emotional physical container, Moon. This is not to say all people with Sun-Moon squares are transgender, but that this aspect can describe the archetypal experience of internal gender tension. The Ascendant rising sign in the 1st house. The Ascendant is the mask we wear, the body, and the way we initiate contact with the world. It is our presentation of self. The ruler of the Ascendant, its sign, and any planets in the 1st house are crucial. A planet like Uranus in the 1st house can signify a persona that is inherently revolutionary, unconventional, and designed to break societal norms, including gender norms. Neptune here can blur the boundaries of the physical self, leading to a feeling of androgyny or a desire to transcend physical form. The presence of a planet in a sign traditionally associated with the opposite gender, like Mars and Libra in a person assigned female at birth, is less significant than the overall narrative of the chart, a story of a self that is not fully aligned with its societal assignment. The outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto as agents of collective transformation. The true power of astrology in understanding the current era lies in the movement of the slow-moving generational outer planets. These planets shape the cultural and collective unconscious. Uranus in Taurus, 2018 to 2026. Uranus is the great awakener and revolutionary, and Taurus, the sign that rules the physical body, values, and material reality. Its transit is directly challenging our most fundamental assumptions about the body. We are seeing a revolution, Uranus, in what constitutes a physical body, Taurus. This manifests as advancements in body modification, a re-evaluation of the body's relationship to identity, and the mass visibility of transgender and non-binary people asserting their right to define their own physical form. Uranus in Taurus demands freedom and authenticity in the most tangible physical sense. Neptune in Pisces 2011 to 2026. Neptune rules dissolution, transcendence, empathy, and the blurring of boundaries. In its own sign of Pisces, its effect is potent. This transit is dissolving the rigid Saturnine boundaries of binary gender. Neptune in Pisces fosters a collective longing for unity and a recognition that identity is fluid, spiritual, and not confined to material classifications. It encourages compassion, Pisces, for those whose identities are marginalized. However, it also carries the shadow of confusion, Neptune, and can be linked to the complex, often misunderstood discourse around gender fluidity. Pluto in Aquarius 2023 to 2044 with previews since 2020. This is arguably the most significant transit for the long-term future of LGBTQ+ rights. Pluto represents power, transformation, and the underworld. Aquarius rules society, technology, innovation, and collective ideals. Pluto's entry into Aquarius marks a decades-long process of the death and rebirth of our social structures. The power Pluto is shifting to the collective, the queer, the unconventional, and the humanitarian. Aquarius, we are moving from a Plutonic Capricornic era of entrenched top-down power structures to an Aquarian era of decentralized community-based networks. This promises a profound and irreversible transformation in how society is organized, with LGBTQ+ identities moving from the margins to a central, integrated part of the new social fabric. Conclusion: the chart as a narrative of authentic selfhood. Astrology does not cause homosexuality or transgenderism. Instead, it provides a rich, symbolic vocabulary to describe the journey of a soul toward its most authentic expression. A chart with strong Uranian signatures may describe a life path of breaking conventions, including those of sexuality and gender. A chart with a prominent Neptune may describe a soul for whom the boundaries of self are more fluid and permeable. A challenging Sun-Moon aspect may narrate a heroic journey of aligning the inner self with the outer reality. The cultural explosion of transgender and gay visibility in the 2020s is not an anomaly, but a clear manifestation of the collective astrological weather. The Uranus and Taurus revolution of the body, the Neptune and Pisces dissolution of binary thinking, and the beginning of Pluto's long transit through Aquarius, which will systematically dismantle old power structures and rebuild a society that, in its ideal form, values every individual's unique and authentic celestial signature. In this light, the astrological chart becomes a powerful tool for validation, self-understanding, and witnessing the cosmos' inherent diversity.